Hey, Mike. Mike Marino is my guest today on our quick interview, brand new interview. Is that what we're calling it? I'm Vinnie Brand, and I've had the pleasure of working with the very best comics in the world for 31 years. I've had many private conversations with them, almost none of them on air. And so a couple weeks ago, Peter and Noah, there are producers here, said, listen, we got to start interviewing guys that are coming up at the club and guys that you like. And I said, well, that's going to be the two factors. They got to be guys I like, and they got to be coming up at the club. And tonight's guest is a guy I like, and he's coming up at the club. Mike Marino, a fellow in New Jersey monster comic. Mike, welcome to the interview.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate you having me on.
It should be fun. You've headlined the club here before, correct?
Yes.
But never the tent. Is that right?
I don't think I've done the tent. Did some specials, some private events, some charities, but I don't think I've been in the tent. I'm looking forward to it.
The tent is something we built during the pandemic to survive the pandemic. And I refuse to take it down because I don't believe there's a plan in place for the next pandemic. So I have decided to be proactive. And whether it's a pandemic or just whatever happens, I don't want to be in a spot where we can't do what we do, and that is put on the very best comics in the world. So Mike is doing the tent this Friday and Saturday. Joining Mike on the show, our very good friend John Bramnick. Is that right? And so
John Bramnick's going to be on the Friday night show, but I do have a female that's going to be on the show. Her name is Andrea Natoli, and she's a Jersey girl. She's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to rock and roll.
It's great. I've never seen Angela Natoli. I've seen you. You're a monster. You have the nickname the bad boy of comedy. New Jersey bad boy, right? Is that the nickname?
New Jersey's bad boy. Yes, sir.
Who gave you the nickname? Did you do it yourself, or somebody just say this? Because I know you're a monster on stage. I have to think someone probably gave you the nickname.
Yeah, it was actually Andrew Dice Clay.
Nice. Tell the story.
We were here in California at the Comedy Store, and Dice was getting ready to go back on another tour. This was in the 90s, and they called him Brooklyn's bad boy. And then I guess he was kidding around with the idea that he could have a Boston bad boy, a Florida bad boy, New Jersey's bad boy. And that's kind of how it stuck.
I like that because those other ones are cities. You just grab the whole state. No, I'm still too washed out. Mike looks tan. He looks beautiful. Aren't you watching the video? Oh my God, I look like a cadaver. Anyway, these guys are producers, right? Could you imagine? That's a little better.
It's a little better.
It's a little better.
I
still too much shine. Too much shine. Thank you, Mike. You look great. So in any event, that's a great story. And Dice is a blast to work with. When he nicknames you, that's great. And of course, you were all of that. How long have you been doing stand-up now?
30 years.
30 years. And still,
Yeah.
Right? Am I wrong? It's still the most fun to go up on stage in front of a room full of strangers. It's such a moment, right?
I tell everybody all the time, I can't wait to go to work. I want to go.
Right.
I want to go. I want to perform with fellow entertainers that I think that are great. I want to share the stage with people who make me happy. And making people laugh is an addiction. It's a drug. And if you're good and you make the people laugh really, really hard, you're never going to want to stop.
No, you don't want to stop. And, listen, I know that being on the road for guys that are married and have kids, you're not married, right?
No, I'm not married. I have no children. I'm lucky enough to be able to just come and go as I please. And I have been for all this time, and I make a great living and I enjoy it. I can't wait to come back to New Jersey. I can't wait to be on the stage this weekend at the Stress Factory. Now,
you live in LA full time?
Technically, I live in Los Angeles, but I still maintain a house that I grew up in Scotch Plains, New Jersey. So when I come into town, I stay at my house.
That's great.
I'm going to come into town. I'll do the Stress Factory Friday, Saturday. But the following week, I'm going to jump on a cruise ship out of Florida. So I just stay on the East Coast.
Right. And so, Mike, is this your biggest fan base here in Jersey? Or where's your biggest fan base?
I would say yes, but I do have a pretty big fan base in Canada. I have a very big fan base here in Los Angeles, California, and really big in Florida.
Right. And you're Italian. Is the act mostly Italian, or
Not
and by the
really.
way,
It just seems like it is.
well, that's the thing too. People say, well, it's Italian comedy. The best thing about quote unquote Italian comedy is everybody laughs at it. Everybody gets it. It's not specific. You don't need to be Italian to laugh at Mike Marino. But Mike Marino maybe talked a little bit about being Italian. Both parents, you're full-fledged, you fall off the
Yes.
boat.
Yeah. So the truth is always funny, as you know. So if you tell the truth about your life, people will laugh because they're going to identify like, wow, that happened to me. Oh, my mother acts like that. So you don't have to be from an Italian family to get what I do, because everybody has that type of a family that's a little bit on the crazy side.
Yeah.
And then just like you, observational humor. So if I walked into some place in, let's say, Kentucky, and I just started talking about going into Walmart and shopping or dating or marriage or any of the above, they're all going to laugh no matter what.
Yeah, exactly right. That's really the beauty, right? Is the unifying aspect of it. It's so simple because we all kind of laugh at the same thing. Now, in this moment of, woke and you shouldn't laugh at this, shouldn't laugh at that, it's kind of backfired because now everybody is back to laughing at whatever the hell is out there. I always used to say it's so bizarre to me that somebody would get upset over a joke because, if I point out the differences between me and whatever, me and that over there, and I'm laughing about it, and you're upset about it, well, how am I the one with the problem? Now, if it's divisive or mean, I understand. But typically, most comics are having fun with things and they don't have a problem with it, which is why they're joking about it. And so I think that's kind of all come full circle now. And it's accepted now to just be fun again. Do you agree, or what do you think?
I agree, because people are starting to slap woke people in the face and say, shut up, just shut up, leave us alone. And you know who's going to save the planet? The comedians.
Yeah.
We have to say what we have to say. And the only way you can make it funny is to tell the truth. So what is the truth? What's going on in your life? So if you're mad about my life, sorry, sucker, you should have went to somebody else's show.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too. It's like, okay, if you have the ability to get upset at jokes, why go to jokes, right? Why go where jokes are told?
There's a lot of narcissistic people out there.
It's insanity. It's absolute insanity. So your show, apolitical, right? No politics.
Not really, no. I talk about me running for president.
That's
That's my idea. I don't think it's political. I think it's not really making a statement. It's poking fun at who I am and what I think would be a good idea.
Right. Because I saw the shirt, which is why I wanted to ask. So you're running for president.
Yeah.
Right?
Make America Italian again.
It's so funny. You get the whole Columbus fan base. Let me say this. Have you legitimately tried to get on the ballot?
In 2016, I did. Yeah, it was $3,500. I put my name on the ballot, and I told people that you could vote for me on my YouTube channel.
That's so funny. So how many ballots did you get on?
Oh, I only just did it for shits and giggles. There were people who were fictitiously voting for me, but I did it in a clip, and the clip got 13 million views.
Oh,
and then we turned it into a web series, and the web series called Make America Italian Again. I'm hoping we're going to start shooting again season 2. And then I created another show called Welcome to the Family, which is a play on words. Welcome to the family, because I started doing the characters because we were in a pandemic and you couldn't go out.
Right. What do you like? You like character work more than stand-up? Or do you like them both the same?
I like doing everything, but there's nothing ever going to stop a guy like you and I from being a live performer. You'll do a movie, you'll do great. You'll do a sketch comedy show, you'll do great. You're not going to stop getting on stage.
Well, thank you very much for both of those comments. I think that you're right. I think if you're a movie producer watching, you should book me for your movie. You're right about that, though. When you look at the guys that have broken through in what they call legit work, Bill Burr still doing stand-up comedy, Sebastian still doing stand-up, Jim Brewer with a couple movies still doing stand-up comedy, Chappelle stand-up comedy, because it's in you, right? That moment is in you, and you don't want to lose it. Now, when you do the character work, are you going to develop it into a movie, a longer format?
Yeah, I really want to make America Italian again, a movie, the race for the White House through the eyes of, let's say, a goofy soprano type thing. I think it would be a big hit. After years of touring, I have a lot of celebrity friends, just like you do, and there's no reason why we can't ask our friends, "Hey, you want to help out? Do you think this would be great?" And enjoy the tour along with making the movie. I mean, I started out as an actor. I never even wanted to be a comedian. I didn't start doing stand-up till I moved to California.
Oh, that's right. I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
see. I started as stand up, but I was a construction. I owned a small construction company and a flower shop and a very, very uh, terrible marriage, first one, and so I started comedy. Just I think it was almost. I hate saying it this way because comics are always, but it was almost just I needed something to laugh. I needed something because construction. You're up calling someone a son of a bitch at 7 in the morning every morning. A flower shop is not in my wheelhouse for who I am. And the marriage was just so bad. So I just needed something to laugh at. What made you get on stage the first time? What happened?
I grew up as an actor. I was always doing TV commercials in New York from a teenage years to the early 20s. I was on As the World Turns as a recurring player. When I moved to California, people were telling me, "You have a flair for comedy because with blonde hair and blue eyes, you're never going to play a mob boss." And I just thought that was kind of funny. So I went over to the Comedy Store because I met some guy and he said, "Why don't you say hello to Mitzi, the owner of the Comedy Store?" And I did an audition as an actor playing the role of a lot of impersonations. I did what every other impersonator did. I did Rocky, I did De Niro, I did Pacino, everybody talking to each other. And when I got off the stage, she said to me, "No way, that sucks. So
Really?
you're never going to get in here. Why are you doing that?" And I says, "Because I'm an actor and I could do acting and I could do this." And she goes, "Yeah, but that's not who you are. Tell me who you are." So she let me come back a couple of weeks later. And when I went on the stage, I actually ended up doing the same thing I originally did. And she said to me, "Why are you doing that?" And I says, "Because I don't really want to be a comedian. I just want to be an actor." And she goes, "But tell me something about you." And I go, "Oh, you want to know something about me, lady? I can't stand California. I don't like the pizza. I'm always in traffic. And I'm a full-blooded Italian. And I am going to play an Irish guy and get whacked in the first 60 seconds of a mob movie. That's who I am." And she goes, "Perfect. You can play here from now on."
Is that right? That's such
Yeah.
a great story. I didn't get the chance to meet her. I met Paulie. I went out there, and I think Mitzi. When I went there, Mitzi was still alive, but she wasn't around. Everyone went out there a handful of times. It's a great room. Um, I haven't done it now in forever. You still work there, right?
No, I haven't been there in a long time. I ended up becoming a regular at the Laugh Factory. And when I come into town, I'll either play the Laugh Factory or some one-offs. But you got to graduate, you got to grow up. That was college. The Comedy Store
Right.
was college for me. Um, I don't know if I really have the time or the patience to try to work my way back in because I don't know anybody there anymore. I graduated.
Right. Is Paulie still there?
I'm sure he still has a piece of it, and you'll see some classic guys like Bill Burr will show up. I know Sebastian goes from time to time. Um, Maybe I could try it someday, but I'm touring so much. How are you going to do it?
Yeah, it's well, the workout rooms. Like I stopped doing New York City because I'm dragging myself in the city. I'm doing 4 spots. It's great. It's all fine, but there's no opportunity lurking in the back of the room anymore. There's nobody. There's no directors. There's nothing happening in the New York scene where back in the day. Bob Morton would hang out. You next thing you know, you're on Letterman or whatever the case may be, and of course, they had auditions, and I don't think any of that mattered. Now it's all social media. It's all how many people are following you. You're working social media like an animal, right?
I do the best I can. Sometimes you'll get a clip that'll hit in the millions, and then you'll have hundreds of clips that nobody even sees.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's
I
so
can't
funny.
figure it out.
We were talking about it earlier. My wife and I do a podcast. We were talking earlier about whether Britney Spears is dancing on a pole to get her numbers back up so she can tour again. And I think she is. My wife thinks she's just crazy. But regardless of which is the motivation for her, the reality is that if Britney Spears numbers went from whatever she has to 30 million followers, it wouldn't matter. An agent would be on the phone with her tomorrow going, we need you on here. We need you. You're going to do the stadium or whatever it is that she'll be doing. Because sadly, that has become, and it probably has always been, the sole focus of our industry is how many asses you can put in the seat. And, we're part of that. We have to have people sell tickets at the club, obviously, but the opportunities for the next level, we always thought they were actual, real gatekeepers looking at and evaluating the way Mitzi looked at you and evaluated.
Yeah.
The guy in New York that was like that, very much like that, was Lucian Hold, and of course, Esty from the Comedy Cellar would
Right.
look at you and look at what you're doing on that stage. And I think there's some great guys in New York. Chris Mazzilli's at Aces. I think you work there too, right?
We talk to each other about representation, but we never work together.
He's a great guy, and I think he cares. And I think everybody cares at some level, but really looking and saying what's happening on that stage, what is that guy or girl doing? That's almost a lost thing now. I don't think anyone new is coming up and doing that. I think Mitzi and I think Lucian Hold and Esty were all very into what was happening on the stage. Mazzilli, but then a ton of guys just going, I don't care what he does on stage if they're willing to pay $40 to come see it, which is the bane of our business. Because, if someone walks in, back in the day, people came to the club, didn't matter who was playing. And that cohort has dropped now too. Now we're going to see Mike Marino or Vinnie Brand. And, you gotta get a proliferation of those people to make your numbers. So anyway, we shouldn't get too much boring on the business end of it because people.
I get it. I get it at 100%. I'm hoping that I'm going to sell tickets. I know my market. I know the areas. Summertime is kind of tough in certain areas, but the one thing about what I'm going to do is no matter how many people come, I'm going to put on a great show.
We worked together during the pandemic on what we can now say was an illegal show in a basement. It was like a 1926 speakeasy. It was so whatever year, I don't know what your prohibition and we were in a basement of like a dance studio.
Yes.
It was in a basement of a dance studio. It was like, who's there?
And I tell you, I was watching you perform and you were slaughtering the place. Now there was only 20 people in the basement, but there was a lot of people watching it on the internet. It's got to be the most difficult thing to do, to perform in front of almost nobody because you can't really hear. I remember all your material about the pandemic and I'm like, genius.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It was a fun show. You murdered as well. And it was just, I remember it because I think of those days. It's only 3 years ago that the world went absolutely batshit crazy. And now, and you couldn't say that even a year and a half ago. They would squash it. But now, we can look at back now. You still see dots on the floor someplace, just haven't cleaned the dots up. And so, I think about that show in the basement and I forget, I don't want to say who we're raising money for. I just remembered who we're raising money for. But it was such a funny thing to me to be doing this quasi-legal thing and having a blast. And I loved what you did that night as well.
I called it the bunker.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a bomb shelter.
It was so, it was weird too. The dance studio, if you're walking back up the stairs, it was pictures of kids everywhere. Theatrical dancing kids learning, older people dancing. And I literally, it felt like London, 1942. Here we are. It was so weird. So I'm glad that's on the rearview mirror. And so now you're coming here. Who's the girl you're bringing with us?
Andrea Natoli's from New Jersey, but she's out here in California and she's working on a bunch of TV shows. She's very, very close with Joe Pesci. So I think he might be showing up this weekend.
I would love that.
A couple of guest sets that you gotta help out some new guys. And I said, sure, if you want to do a guest set, but just enough to arc up the show and make it pleasant.
Have you
Uh,
met Pesci?
I never have. No, once a long time ago, he was playing golf in an Italian American golf tournament, and I was hosting the show, but I never really spoke to him other than hello, how are you?
You know, I've never met him, and he's a Jersey guy, right? I mean, him.
Yes.
I've met a lot of guys. I never met him, but I did just watch uh, a little bit of Raging Bull. And I'm like, man, guys, I gotta meet him at some point. I hope he comes in. I'd love to say hi to him. I don't know. Is he weird? Is he nice? He's got to be nice, right?
I would assume he's going to be a very nice guy. And if he comes, we'll do the right thing, you know. She's going to let me know. She's doing really, really great publicity for the show. She's a great stand-up comedian, and I know her family's friends with them. So I'm hoping that's going to happen because it would be nice to acknowledge that kind of a guy in the audience.
Yeah.
John Bramnick's going to do one show. I got a different guy going to do the other show, and I sprinkled in with a couple of guest spots. Will help these people out a little bit, and then I'm going to slam the crap out of the place.
Oh, you absolutely will. So you did some shows overseas with the troupe, right? You've done a lot of them.
Yes, yeah, many.
Do you ever feel like you're in danger?
No, I felt like I was in danger when we went and did the shows out there. I mean, the first one I ever did was in Japan, and it was in a peacekeeping area. And then when the war broke out, I actually did Kosovo and Baghdad, Kuwait, and all the hot zones. And that's when I was coming up with stuff about if I ran the country. Because, you know, when you entertain, and a lot of people don't mention this, these kids are 19, 20, 21. There's thousands of them.
Yeah.
And they're not leaving, but we are. So that was kind of heartbreaking.
And
when
so that's what I mean. When you were in those hot areas, did you feel you're in danger when you're doing the show?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And,
we heard what they called friendly fire. That ain't friendly.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, so you're there and you're hearing these things go off. What's going through your head?
Please, Lord, let us go home. And why did we come here?
Right, right. And I mean, you know, but got to be an incredible. I never got to do it. It's, you know, it's a little bit political, right? To get on those shows is a little bit of work. You have to know.
It depends on who you're going out there with. There's a lot of different companies that do those tours, but you want to be the one that's called USO Comedy Tour. They're the most legit. That's the Bob Hope comedy tour. At the Laugh Factory, I think about 10 years ago, they actually awarded 10 comedians the Bob Hope Award, which is the Oscars for stand-up. I have one. It's gold, and it's shaped like Bob Hope. And
That's
it was
amazing.
to show some love for the comedians who actually took those chances.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to do that. I did a show at McGuire Air Force Base here in New Jersey during the height of the wars. And it was a Sunday night. And I remember I'm on stage, I'm having fun. It's a really fun show. But I hear plane after plane after plane taking off. And on stage, naive as could be, I said, why are you running so many training missions on a Sunday night when I'm doing a show? And the wing commander said, those are not training missions. Those are guys who are going into theater right now. And most of those flights, he told me, were delivering weapons and foodstuffs, and there weren't troop movements. Those were support flights, but still flying in the hot zones, flying, untold number of hours, refueling in the air, and coming back, I think within like a 30-hour loop or something like that. It was crazy. And I remember thinking, oh my God, you naive son of a bitch. These are actually people doing the job. And you're up here making jokes. And you realize, A, how lucky you are. And B, like you said earlier, these are young men and women making incredible sacrifices. I was really humbled. And also I felt dumb in front of there's a million guys there. And
this is one of the reasons why I started saying, and I say it on my podcast, I say it on my talk shows, everybody who wants to take a knee and they don't want to sing the American anthem and they don't want to do this, that, go join the military. Go watch what these people sacrifice, because they'll come home and they'll kick your soccer ball around.
Well, the whole thing about I said it the other day, the moment we're in this this moment of not standing for the flag and these various groups that want to be outspoken. And, if you look at it with any type of real serious depth of thought,
Yeah.
The abuses and the social injustices that occurred throughout time are obviously tragedies and regrettable, and they're awful and all that. And so I don't want to take away from anybody's pain, because clearly there was pain. The part that always mystifies me is, okay, but the government did the right thing, passed the laws. It's constantly evolving, and making a greater peace. So why are you protesting the government now? If you want to protest someone that individually robs some of their freedoms, I suppose that makes sense too. And by the way, to that individual listening right now going, he's wrong, and typing as fast as you can, I am always for a more inclusive and greater freedom. Always.
Yeah.
More inclusive and greater freedom. But I don't think you can get there if you take apart the institution that is moving in that direction. That's just me. I watch and I look and I go, I don't know how you're any issue, whatever it is. The government, by and large, is moving in the right direction. A lot of people play there, by the way.
We could solve any problems with making people laugh and having some good food.
I agree. And both of those things are going to happen this weekend with Mike Marino at the Stress Factory Comedy Club in New Brunswick, 732-545-4242, with a whole host of great comics. John Bramnick, this Italian broad you mentioned. What's her name again?
Andrea Natoli, Pam DeButts. Who else do I got? Marklin Johnson, and another guy named Steve Rinaldi.
There you go. Listen, I like how diverse the show sounds. Every name ends in a vowel. I love that. Every name is a family member that whacked somebody. Of course, Bramnick defended them, but so listen, I really enjoyed our talk. And Mike, where do they follow you on social media?
Everything is MikeMarino.net or Mike Marino Live on all social media.
There we go. So easy. And Mike, you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
Everything.
TikTok. Are you on Getter yet?
What is it?
Getter.
No, I never heard of it.
Okay, listen, Mike. Listen to me carefully. You got to go get a Getter account. GETTR. I'm going to tell you why. It's very political, by the way. So again, those people are saying, I don't give a shit. It's not about the politics. Years ago, about 9 years ago now, I'm coaching my kid's soccer team, and two of the girls go, you got to get TikTok. And I never heard of it. It was so new. And I looked, and I instantly signed up an account. I made 2 videos, stupid videos, and the girls left. And I never picked it up again until guys were millions of followers. And if I just listened to those kids and gotten on TikTok early, I would have been one of the early guys on TikTok.
Right.
Instead, I'm in the noise now trying to grow. And my TikTok is growing, but you know what I mean. Now, Getter is brand new. It's probably right now linked to the right. Yeah, Getter is a right. But who cares? I'm just making people laugh. You're just making people laugh. Everybody gets to laugh. Get on Getter. And, just for
I'll
fun.
give it a shot. What the heck?
What the hell? They're lottery tickets. So, Mike, I can't wait to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing our interview. Mike Marino, everybody, live at the Stress Factory this weekend. I need something for this throat. I sound like Robert F. Kennedy with a cold. All right. Thank you very much, Mike.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much. I'll see you this weekend.
All right, man. See you then.